Hi guys, today I'm going to talk about why you should not use Nest or buy Nest if you have 2-wire heater system or air conditioning system. Let's go and take a look. Hi guys, so recently my heater broke and I called an HVAC technician to my house. That was actually yesterday. And so he came to my house and I explained the problem that my heater died. It's actually been dying slowly. Sometimes it won't ignite. And this all happened after I installed Nest a few years back. Now, the first thing the technician asked me was,
do you have Nest?
It was like if he knew that Nest was causing a lot of problems. All right, so basically the problem was the electric ignition on my gas furnace failed. So I have a heater from 1988. It's an electric ignition. So basically what happened was that my ignition failed. The ignition, when the heater starts, actually heats up and allows the heater to start. So I thought that was just from my heater being old. It's almost 30 years old. But before the technician left, he told me that this happens often. And 9 out of 10 times, a lot of those customers were using Nest. And he was telling me that that was from using 2 wires on the Nest. Now, the Nest does not power itself. It actually powers through the wires in the back. If you're using 3 wires for heating, you'll use RC, W, and common. All right, if you use all 3 wires, then you're okay. Because you have a common wire where the wires will be able to power Nest and the ignition separately. Now, while the Nest does not use a ton of energy, it only uses 24 volts, 0.1 amps. I guess it could still affect the ignition where over time it can make it fail. So let's go ahead and take a look at my heater real quick. Hi guys, so the problem is a lot of these older heaters or even the newer ones, if you're only using 2 wires, that means your Nest is being powered from those 2 wires. And what would happen is that, from what the technician was telling me, that it would actually put some more load onto the ignition. And that's causing the ignition failure. So this is the new ignition they just replaced. Now, if you do want to run Nest and you don't want it to affect the ignition, then you just need to really wire another common. Alright, so if you have 3 wires, then you'll be fine. But from what he's telling me, that is causing a lot of ignition failures for these heaters. Alright, as you can see, there is no common for my heater. So if you're using Nest on a heater system or even air conditioning system that only has 2 wires, which means it's gonna put some load on the ignition. I don't know the exact details, but it sort of makes sense to me as a computer engineer. It's putting extra load, it's interfering with the ignition system. Now, from what I understand, I don't think it will affect it, but the technician told me he's been seeing, circuit failure, especially ignition failure on many HVAC systems, the newer ones, older ones. So he told me if you're gonna run Nest, run an extra wire for the common. All right, which sort of hard to do because my house is sort of old. So I took it out, I replaced it with just one of those programmable thermostats with battery controlled. Now, Nest does have an extra micro USB. If you can also run a micro USB cable separately, I would imagine that would work also. All right, but usually these thermostat locations are far away from power sources, so you're gonna have to run an extra line anyways. All right, so I just want to tell you that, and if you're using Nest and your ignition fails, it could definitely be the cause from just having Nest. Also, the technician told me that my new ignition is not covered by warranty if I keep using Nest. Actually, if you Google this, if you ask any HVAC company, a lot of times if you use Nest, none of your heaters are actually even covered by the warranty. Nest will void your HVAC system warranty. Definitely check it out. If you install a new heater, new AC, they'll probably tell you that if you install Nest, you're gonna void your warranty. That's another issue that Nest hasn't worked out. I Googled some articles, and it seems to me, Nest is definitely causing problems. And if you Google the 2-wire Nest, I'll actually put some links on there. People are having trouble even running their system. And I think this is something maybe Nest is trying to cover up. I don't know, but it did cost me about $400 to replace the ignition. And I paid $300 for Nest, so it didn't really pay for itself. I just want to put this out there. So the next time something fails in your HVAC system, it could be possibly caused by Nest if you're using 2 wires. If you have any similar incidences, please do leave your comments below so more people know about it. But yeah, I don't really need to use Nest. I mean, Nest does sort of save me some energy when I'm not home. That's the only real feature I use. Plus my home's not that big. I could just use a regular programmable one. And also there's a lot of other thermostats that use battery powered. So I would actually look into that if you still want to have app control. If you have 2 wires, definitely have a separate power source. Make sure you use 3 wires. All right, that's pretty much it. But I'm actually very disappointed with Nest because, you know, my heater failed. I can't prove to you right now that it's from this, but just Googling some articles, it seems to me that could be true. And why would HVAC companies not warranty systems by having Nest? Why would the technician tell me this? So yeah, I just want to put this out there. Have a great day, and as always, stay
Hot.